we doing, guys? And welcome back to TSTV for a belated look at the Conference League final, which Chelsea beat Real Betis by 4-1. And it was a really strange sort of day and a really strange sort of build-up to a final, because particularly with European finals and even FA Cup finals and the like, I always get this sort of sick feeling. Like, in the day, I feel so nervous. I always feel so sort of anxious about the game. Whenever we've been in the Champions League final, I've been lucky enough to go to a couple of them. And in the build-up, I can't think about anything else. I feel sick. I'm pacing. It's awful. Like, there's actually been a couple of times where I've actually physically thrown up at the thought of being in the Champions League final on the day. And I know that's maybe a bit graphic, but that's kind of how it makes you feel, even being in cup finals against Arsenal and Man United and those sorts of things. But in the Conference League final and the lead up to it, I was very, very relaxed. It was very odd. I just felt very kind of zen about it. I think partly that's because of the fact that we did our job at Nottingham Forest and secured Champions League football, and almost this game felt like a bit of a bonus, but also a nice crescendo potentially to the season. And I just wasn't it wasn't like I wasn't looking forward to the game, because I actually was. I was looking forward to, the final game of the season, potentially lifting a trophy, it being a good game, which I think it actually turned out to be. But I didn't have that sort of anxious, horrible nervousness, sick feeling, which you get, which in a way was not so good, because it means that you're in maybe a lesser competition. But it was also quite nice, because it meant I can just take the game on its merits and I can enjoy the game without being too nervous about it. And obviously, even in the game started and we go 1-0 down very, very early on, I still felt very relaxed. And then obviously at the start of the second half, I actually realised how much I wanted to win this competition. I've heard a few people say similar things, that it actually kind of got to the point where we faced some jeopardy in the Conference League before we actually realised we wanted to really win it. I really wanted us to complete the set. I really wanted Enzo Maresca to walk away with a trophy in top four and to be able to say job done at the end of the season. I really wanted this moment for those players, and obviously for us as fans to be able to sit here and say we've completed the set, we completed football. And it was odd. I sort of went from being very relaxed to sort of, actually, I'm quite nervous now. And the second half was extremely enjoyable. Really, really great fun. As soon as we got that first goal through Enzo Fernandez, brilliant ball by Cole Palmer. I mean, Cole Palmer in that second half, wow, what a player. That's the Cole Palmer we haven't seen in a few months, other than that Liverpool game. That's the Cole Palmer we know that can decide the big moments. And that's what the best players do. Even when they're going for a bad period, they step up and decide the game. And it wasn't like he was playing well in that game. He just took the game by the scruff of the neck, and it was really amazing to see. And I was really, really happy that once we got that first goal, it wasn't like we kind of sat back and thought, you know what, we can take our time again, we can, play our way back into the game. We went for the throat. We went for Real Betis. We smelt the weakness there. The players, Enzo Maresca, smelt the weakness in that team and absolutely wiped the floor of them in the second half. And I said to my friend who I was watching it with, as soon as that equaliser went, I was like, they've gone. This game is here to be won. And we ended up winning it very, very comfortably in the end. And I was really, really delighted. The atmosphere in the pub I was watching it was a nice mix of sort of raucousness when the goals went in and happiness, but it wasn't too over the top. And I think that was kind of the right level of excitement for that particular game. And look, there's lots of fans of other clubs that are coming out and demeaning what we've achieved and saying, oh, you only won the Conference League, completing the set, what does that really matter? No other big club is going to drop into that competition, which I find a bit odd, because Juventus dropped into it a couple of years ago. They decided not to enter it because they had some financial penalties through UEFA due to, I believe, a corruption scandal that was ongoing. So they decided to take their punishment that year rather than kind of backdate it to the Champions League, which they would hope to qualify for the following year. Manchester United, look at them. I mean, the best they can probably hope for is the Conference League. And you're always going to get in the top leagues the odd time where a big team will have a disappointing season. They could end up dropping into it. So I don't think we're going to be the only big club that ends up in it. Of course, we were expected to win it. It would have been a bit embarrassing if we hadn't. And we've cruised through the competition. Has there ever been a more comfortable competition win in history? I'm not sure. But we came up against a proper team in the final. Real Betis are a good side. They've got some good players. First half, they were very, very impressive. They could easily have gone into a 3-0 up and probably deserved to go in 2-0 up. To be honest, we didn't really turn up in the first half. Enzo Maresca got it wrong in terms of the lineup. I did expect a few changes, and it just didn't really work. Malo Gusto was, he had a Timuro Bakayoko experience out there, didn't he? He was really, really bad, and I'm glad that Maresca made the change to take him off at half time rather than try and, the old cliche, give it 10 or 15 minutes. He made the decision and as soon as Reece came on, it was almost like John Terry coming onto the pitch. Not because Reece is a similar player to JT, completely different players, completely different leadership styles, but it was almost like, okay, the big boy's on the pitch now. Like, he's going to not take any nonsense. He's going to make sure we get over the line. And he was absolutely brilliant in that second half. And to be fair, the whole team were really, other than Pedro Neto, I thought had an absolute stinker. But look, let's forget it. Let's not kind of dwell on that too much. It was a brilliant performance in the second half. Cole Palmer absolutely ran the show. Caicedo and Enzo really got a grip of the game. And we looked a massive, massive threat. And credit to Enzo Maresca for making the changes that were required to get the job done. Bringing on Jadon Sancho as well, who scores a great goal. Made a real impact in the game. Was really, really lively, even before the goal when he came on. And look, I was absolutely delighted, and I think every Chelsea fan was. And as I mentioned a second ago, there's going to be lots of fans sneering at us. No other team's going to drop into the competition. It doesn't mean anything well, to us it does, and that's all that matters. To Chelsea Football Club, we've completed the set, the only team to ever do it, and that's all that matters. And all the other trophies we've actually won twice. Hopefully we don't have to be in the Conference League again to win it twice. You never know. But it was a competition we entered. It was a competition we wanted to win, and we won it. And it caps off, I think, a really good end to the season. Qualifying for the Champions League at the start of the season was the main objective. We've done that. We showed a real newfound resilience in the run-in in the second part of the season to get over the line. Lockdown 1-0 wins, some really good football at times as well. And in this final, we faced adversity. We went 1-0 down and we came back and we absolutely wiped the floor of a good Real Betis team in that second half. Overall, I think you've got to say it's a really positive season, and there'll be lots of people out there moaning. I've seen quite a few Chelsea fans in the past couple of days still moaning. I mean, if you can't enjoy a cup final win like that, if you can't enjoy, the Nottingham Forest game getting into the Champions League, then why bother? Why are you watching football? Why are you supporting this football club? It can't be league titles every year. It can't be Champions League wins every year. It's not going to happen, and particularly from where we've come from, it was never going to be that way. It was never going to be a title challenge, even though we flirted with it earlier in the season. Everyone that, watches football and watches Chelsea regularly knew that. So we've got to take the wins when we can get them. And the objective at the start of the season was get back into the Champions League and win the Conference League. We've done that. We've had a good season based on the objectives. Is it an amazing season? Is it a great season? No, I don't think you can say that. But it's been a good season. It's been a really good end to the season. And the players, the manager, they can all walk away happy with the sort of getting the job done, really. And they can be happy with what they've achieved this season. We've got the Club World Cup coming up. And I'll look more into that in depth as we get kind of closer to it. I really don't know how I foresee us tackling that competition. The talk is that we're going to take it very, very seriously, but we shouldn't let it jeopardize next season as well, because again, like I said in my last video, we can't be doing this B team nonsense in the Champions League and the Premier League next season. So we'll kind of revisit that as we get closer, but it's going to be interesting to see how we approach that. But overall, very, very positive season, and I'm pleased. I'm really, really pleased. A couple of months ago, I felt so despondent watching the team. I felt despondent with the manager. I felt despondent with the direction the club is going. And I'm not saying that, because of these last few weeks, everything behind the scenes is rosy, particularly there's still a lot of issues there, but take the wins when we can get them. We're a team that have won it all. We can officially sing that again now. And I'm delighted that we've got over the line. We won the trophy. It was lovely watching the team celebrate. It was lovely being in the pub and being able to kind of, we've won a trophy again. It's a really nice feeling. And, hopefully this gives us that sort of hunger and desire to kick on and win more trophies and get to more finals and get over the line in these really critical moments. And the team have displayed that they can do that in the last couple of weeks. So well done to Lemon, well done to Enzo Maresca. Really, really pleasing end to the season. I will do a bit of a longer video in the coming days to kind of review the season as a whole. I think we need to treat the Club World Cup as sort of next season, because there's going to be new players potentially coming in for that as well. So I don't think you can bracket it in with this season. So I will do a more in-depth season review, which will be a bit of a longer video. And I'll obviously, use this kind of time to digest my thoughts on the season as a whole. But look, I think the general conclusion is that it's been a very, very good outcome for the season. It's not always been an enjoyable season. It's not always been a season where I've been happy or I've enjoyed watching the team. I think everyone can say that. Telling anyone, any fan that went to Forest away or Rocklaw last week what they felt about it. They would have had a fantastic time, and we can all be very, very pleased, I think, with the outcome to this season. Just on a side note, obviously, since then, it looks like we've agreed a deal for Liam Delap for £30 million. And I have to say, I think at that price, that is a really, really good signing. I think it's a no-brainer, really. Even if he doesn't kind of work out as we hope to, you're going to recruit the value on him. I mean, already when he walks through the door, his value is going to go through the roof. He's potential England striker of the future. Got attributes that I really, really like. He's big, he's strong, he's quick. His ball striking is really, really good. And he's got so many tools to be a top centre forward. Is it enough to be able to go and challenge for a Premier League and a Champions League at this moment in time? I'm not quite sure. I wouldn't be against going and getting another more experienced centre forward alongside him, because there is speculation about Nicholas Jackson's future. But I think at the price, I think at the player that we're getting potentially, I don't really see too much of a downside. So I can't sit here and moan about the signing. Of course, there's more business that we need to do if we want to be where we want to be. But I think getting him through the door at that price is, no brainer really. I can't really see a downside. If he doesn't really work out, we'll be able to recoup a fee on him. So looking forward to Liam Delap being part of the team next season. I imagine that he will either rotate with Nicholas Jackson, or if we sell Jackson and get another striker in, I imagine that will be the plan. But I think he could give a massive contribution, and if he has a really good season, he could be pushing Harry Kane for that starting spot at the World Cup next year. I mean, he probably won't have it at that moment in time, but he could be pushing. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how he gets on. There's a lot of talk that we've asked him not to participate in the under-20 for England and to play at the Club World Cup. I don't know how I feel about that. I think it would be a good experience for him to go away with the under-21s in a tournament setting, and to experience playing for England in that sort of setting as well. So I'm not sure how I feel about that. Obviously, the Club World Cup is important for us as a club, but I think, would it be better for him to go and get that experience for England, him personally? Obviously, for the club, it's better for if he's with us and he can learn Enzo Maresca's football, he can get used to his teammates before next season properly starts, because obviously pre-season is going to be a weird one this year. But look, that's up to the club, that's up to Liam Delap. And, if he does play at the Club World Cup, then that'd be fantastic, and it'd be interesting to see how he dovetails with the likes of Cole Palmer, Noni Madueke. Esteval won't be playing for us at the Club World Cup, he'll be playing for Palmeiras. So it'd be interesting to see. But look, very, very positive video. Champions League in the bag, Conference League in the bag, and it looks like we've signed a centre forward, and a really, really promising one at that. So happy days. I'll be back with a video next week to review the season as a whole and to go do a bit more of a deep dive generally. But until then, take care of yourselves. I'll see you next week, and up the Chelsea.